here's what I did to get my mortgage credit score from a low 500 to a 660 so I could finally go home shopping. Let me just say that when I applied for my mortgage in November, I was so confident. I had been checking Credit Karma, and per Credit Karma, my score was a 680. So when I had the lender run my credit, I was not worried at all. And so I was very shocked when he came back and told me that my credit score was somewhere in the low 500s, and I was just completely shocked because that is not what I was expecting. I later learned that Credit Karma is trash. That is not where you want to be checking your credit score, and certainly not where you want to be checking your credit score when it comes to mortgages. I learned about FICO scores at that point. I got my membership at myfico.com and I looked up my actual mortgage score, and child, it was low. It was bad. Before I even went and did that, I asked my lender to tell me exactly what it was that were the main things I had to work on in order to get approved for this mortgage. And so if you're in a place right now where you have been denied a mortgage, you have been denied a pre-approval, if you haven't yet, call your lender, have a conversation, and have them tell you what are the main things on your credit report that you need to tackle. When I spoke to my lender, he told me that the main issue was just improving my credit score. He recommended taking care of the collections in order to do so. Now, he didn't tell me what to do with the collections specifically, but because I had been fixing my credit for a little bit, I knew exactly that deleting the collections is what I needed to do, and that paying them off would not do anything for me. Now, if this is the first time that we are meeting, my name is Nobu with MakingSenseOfDebt.com, where we discuss understanding finances, leveraging debt, and finding your financial freedom, whatever that looks like to you. If those kinds of conversations sound good to you, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos. So as I said, the very first thing that I did was I got myself a membership at MyFICO.com. I decided to sign up for this because this was the only place that I could actually check my mortgage score specifically. FICO 8 is nice, FICO 9 is nice, but if you're trying to buy a house and you're not looking at your mortgage FICO score, you're moving blindly here. Your FICO 7 might be 6 something, and then your mortgage score could actually be way less than that. So you want to be looking at your mortgage FICO score specifically, which is what I started doing. I wanted to make sure that the work that I was doing was actually translating to that score. And my lender had told me that, as long as I got it up to a 580 or higher, I could get a mortgage. But if I wanted to have more options available, it needed to be above a 640. So my goal was to get it up to a 640 so I had more options available to me. Once I signed up for my FICO, the next thing that I did was I went ahead and I paid off all the credit cards that had balances on them. A major part of your credit score is the amount that you owe. And when you have balances on multiple cards, balances over 30% specifically, it actually brings your credit score down quite a bit. I went ahead and paid those off and I saw a bump in my credit score. But it wasn't enough to get me up to that 640 number, which is what I needed to apply for that mortgage. One thing that my lender mentioned was that it was good that I had no late payments in the last 12 months. And so that wasn't a concern for him. As long as my score was bumped up, income-wise, I was good to go. Debt-wise, I was good to go. It was just getting this score up. So I started to go to work on the collections that I had. Because I wanted this mortgage approval quickly, I didn't bother with doing any disputes. I had disputed my collections in the past, and so I didn't waste time on that. But if you have time and you're trying to apply for mortgage quickly, certainly doing a dispute or doing multiple disputes first is a great way to start, because then you might actually save money if these items get deleted. I didn't have a lot of time. I was desperate. I really wanted to buy a house ASAP. And so what I did instead is I started calling the accounts that had collections on them and negotiating for pay for delete. It did take a few calls to get agreements, and I just kept at it. So every couple of weeks I would call and ask for what offers they had. And if I didn't like the offer, I would offer something. And if they said no, I would just hang up and keep it moving. And then a couple of weeks later, do the same thing. I was able to do a pay for delete on one charge-off account with Chase. And then I did a pay for delete with a collection with Capital One. I did still have a judgment and 2 other collections on my credit report still, but because my score was high enough and because the lender wasn't concerned with those items specifically, once I had that 660, I went ahead and I applied for a pre-approval, and that was in April. And I was able to get pre-approved for a mortgage. So I was approved for a mortgage of up to $300,000, but my budget was to buy a house for under $150,000, which is exactly what I did. So just to recap, I started tracking my mortgage FICO credit score specifically at MyFICO.com. I paid off my credit cards. I only had 1 card reporting at a very low balance every single month. Everything else was paid down to 0. I deleted a charge-off account by doing a pay for delete. I deleted a collection account by doing a pay for delete. I still had other collections. I still had a judgment on my credit report, and I still got a mortgage. So if you're stressing out because you have some collections, you have some judgments on your credit report, just know that they don't necessarily have to be removed for you to apply if your score is high enough and depending on when that item is. If it was added within the last 12 months or 24 months, then it's probably a no-go. If you have an old collection from 5 years ago, it probably doesn't matter. You want to talk to your lender and ask them specifically, what are the things on my credit report that need to be removed in order for me to qualify? Can't tell you this enough. You can go to all the forums, you can watch all the YouTube videos, but in the end, you need someone to look at your specific report, look at your specific income to tell you exactly what you need to do if you're not sure. But of course, the less negative items you have on your credit report, the higher probability that you will have a much easier time getting approved for that mortgage. Now, if you're in a place where you have some collections and you're not really sure how the pay for delete process works and you want to get these collections off of your report quickly, make sure you check out this video for step-by-step instructions for how to negotiate a pay for delete.